Join our community by subscribing. Every click helps us share more stories like this one.
The introduction. The quiet town of Riverton was nestled between rolling hills and a glimmering river, alive with the symphony of nature. Life moved at a gentle pace here. Children played in the parks, and neighbors exchanged warm smiles during afternoon strolls. Yet, beneath this idyllic veneer lay a fragile undercurrent, a darkness waiting to surface. It was the dawn of spring 2021 when everything changed. The arrival of a particularly brisk morning brought with it a chilling discovery that would shatter the tranquility of Riverton. In a secluded area on the outskirts of town, a group of teenagers, exploring a familiar hiking trail, stumbled upon the lifeless body of a young woman. The scene that they encountered was haunting. Her body was concealed beneath a thin layer of foliage, an indication that time had woven her fate into the earth. Those who lived in Riverton did not expect to find themselves at the heart of a deadly mystery. The victim was identified as Emily Hart, a vibrant 24-year-old who had recently returned home after years of studying art in the city. Loved by many, she had dreams, aspirations, each one extinguished in an instant. As word spread, anxiety swept through the community, intertwining with whispers and the echoes of disbelief. How could such a thing happen here? With each passing day, questions mounted. The tension palpable, but one fact loomed large. Emily's death was not an isolated incident. It would reveal secrets long buried within the heart of Riverton, forcing its residents to confront a darkness they never knew existed. Little did they know, this was just the beginning. The investigation into Emily's murder would unravel the tapestry of lies, betrayal, and buried truths, a path that would lead to revelations no one could anticipate. The victim, Emily Hart, was more than just a name on a coroner's report. She was a mosaic of memories, laughter, and talent. Born and raised in Riverton, her vibrant personality made her a beacon for those around her. Friends described her as a dreamer, someone whose laughter could break the tension of the dullest day, and whose artistic flair brought colors to the grayest moments of life. She had always been passionate about art, her hands perpetually smudged with charcoal or paint. Armed with a sketchpad, she'd roam the town, capturing moments and scenes that others often overlook. In her late teens, Emily decided to leave Riverton to study fine arts in a bustling city, full of ambition and hope for her future. The city awoke a new side of her, exposing her to winds of change that breathed life into her talent. Yet, after years of urban living, the call of home proved irresistible. Emily returned a week before her death, brimming with stories and nostalgia. Her friends welcomed her back, eager to rekindle their bond, but few comprehended the silent struggles she faced upon her return. The anxiety of transitioning back to small-town life, the pressure to succeed in a competitive field, and the unspoken loneliness that settled in during her night. It was at a vibrant gathering, organized to celebrate her return, that one friend had noticed Emily's slight unease. She had laughed with a touch of sorrow behind her eyes, gazing at everyone enjoying life. Something unseen lurked within her, a shadowy doubt about whether she still belonged in this place she once called home. Riverton was not equipped for this unexpected darkness, but Emily's death It became clear that beneath the glossy surface of their picturesque lives, far deeper fissures rested. The search for Emily's killer would soon compel everyone to reckon with the vulnerabilities they kept hidden, forever changing the fabric of their community. The crime scene. The sun hung low in the sky when Detective Sarah Jensen arrived at the crime scene, casting elongated shadows over the damp earth. The air was thick with the smell of loamy soil and the distant chatter of the gathering crowd. As she stepped past the yellow tape that marked the perimeter, the destruction of that peaceful morning was palpable. Officers had secured the area, but an unsettling stillness lingered, almost reverent. Emily's body lay amidst the brush, an eerie contrast to the life that pulsed behind the surrounding trees. Fallen leaves cradled her, yet they couldn't disguise the reality of what had occurred. Her jeans, torn at the knee, indicated a struggle had taken place. In stark contrast, a delicate pendant lingered on her collarbone, a girl's best friend, now a silent testament to the violence that had erased her story. As uniforms began to photograph the scene, Sarah crouched beside the body, examining the surroundings. Subtle disturbances in the undergrowth suggested a scuffle. Twigs were snapped, and the bushes pushed aside. Was it a random encounter? A chance meeting gone tragically wrong? Or was it something predisposed? An act of malice rooted deeply in familiarity. The question lingered. Nearby, a team member collected potential evidence of broken branch. Some fragments of fabric caught on the thorny bush, and Emily's cell phone, lying discarded like a marionette without strings. It was clear from the state of disarray that Emily had fought back. As Sarah stood and surveyed the area, she noticed the tree line beyond the clearing dark and foreboding, an ominous reminder of the secrets it might hold. An ominous reminder of nature seemingly cradled a horror beneath its calm exterior. She made a mental note to delve deeper into the terrain later. Questions sparked in her mind like flint against stone. Who would want to hurt Emily? And why, in this town, where tradition reigned and lives intertwined? She understood that her investigation would uncover not just a killer, but perhaps the unearthly truths lying hidden in the hearts of even the most familiar faces. The darkness had arrived in Riverton, and Sarah was determined to illuminate every shadow. The early investigation. The days immediately following Emily Hart's death were heavy with sorrow, but they also ignited a whirlwind of activity within the Riverton Police Department. Detective Sarah Jensen gathered her team for a briefing, the atmosphere burdened with urgency and grim determination. The phone lines buzzed incessantly, tips flowing in like autumn leaves caught in a gust of wind. But most were leads that led nowhere. Sarah laid out a timeline on a whiteboard, filled with names, dates, and places that might hold significance to the case. She started from the day Emily returned home, methodically tracing her movements. Key members were dispatched to canvass the town, speaking with anyone who might have crossed paths with her in those fateful days. Her first stop was to visit Emily's parents, a couple etched in grief, their home filled with memories captured in photographs lining the walls. Emily's mother, Claire, held a framed picture of her daughter from childhood, emotion spilling from her eyes as she spoke. Emily was happy when she came back, Claire whispered, her voice cracking. She talked about starting new projects. She was excited to be home. But as the conversation deepened, it became clear that Claire had noticed a shift in her daughter's demeanor, even during those brief days. Something she didn't tell me. Claire confessed. She was worried about someone. It was that key phrase that latched onto Sarah's mind. Who was she worried about? Mrs. Hart. Oh, no. Her? She asked gently, hoping the answer would illuminate the shadows cast on Emily's life. Maybe it was her ex-boyfriend, Mark, Claire replied, whacking away tears. They ended badly, and I think he never really accepted that it was over. With the lead now solidified, Sarah and her team initiated a search for Mark Jensen, Emily's past that bled into her present. They found his address in a neighboring town and set out to interview him. Each step into this larger narrative felt like peeling back layers of thin ice, revealing a complex history riddled with old wounds and unresolved emotion. The investigation was still in its infancy, yet it clearly hinted at an intricate web of relationships and resurfacing tensions. Riverton's small-town charm now felt suffocating as the road ahead threatened to unravel. More than just Emily's last days, it would expose a community grappling with its demon. The dead ends. As the investigation pressed on, the anticipation of a breakthrough shifted to annoying frustration. Detective Sarah Jensen felt the weight of each passing day. Fresh leads evaporated into dead ends, like morning fog lifting without a trace. Her team had tracked down Mark Jensen, Emily's ex-boyfriend, but the encounter had yielded little. Mark was cooperative, but evasive, a nervous energy rippling beneath his calm exterior. The walls of his sparsely furnished apartment echoed with the silence of isolation, providing no insight into the man who lost Emily. We were young. It ended badly. But I never wanted to hurt her, he insisted, running a hand through his unkempt hair. It had alibi for the night of the murder working as shift at a nearby warehouse was solid and corroborated by several sources. With Mark ruled out, Sarah turned her attention back to the community. Each interview peeled back layers of emotion and camaraderie, yet no one seemed willing to speak of hidden animosities or secrets. The tight-knit fabric of Riverton stood firm against change. Meanwhile, Sarah's team scrutinized Emily's social media for clues. Posts and pictures revealed a vibrant life, yet beneath her cheerful exterior were hints of unrest. Cryptic remarks about keeping secrets and watching out for toxic people. Friends and family remained vague about these comments. She had her moments, you know. She loved to be dramatic. One friend said, dismissive. With every lead that dried up, Sarah felt as if the case slipped further from her grasp. A pivotal moment came in the form of a call from the forensic lab. The report on the items collected from the crime scene had arrived. As Sarah pored over it, she noted traces of an unfamiliar substance found on Emily's clothing. While blood had been accounted for, there was also a hair fiber that did not match Emily's, nor did it belong to Mark. This unexpected revelation reignited a flicker of hope within Sarah, fueling the drive to cross-reference local missing persons and any crimes unsolved in the area. Perhaps Emily's tangled web was intertwined with someone else's unknown darkness. With renewed determination, she reached for her notepad. Riverton had secrets lurking beyond what was now evident, and Sarah was unrelenting in her search for the truth. A break in the case. The air in the police station crackled with a charged energy when Detective Sarah Jensen entered, carrying the weight of hope in her heart. It was a particularly busy morning. Clerks buzzed about. Phones rang relentlessly, and the usual small talk among officers had morphed into frenetic exchanges about Emily Hart's murder. The news had shaken the foundation of Riverton, igniting speculation and fear. That day, one of Sarah's officers, Officer Tim Roberts, approached her desk with an unusual expression. "That date. You might want to take a look at this," he said, handing her a manila folder. Inside were photos of a suspect picked up during a routine patrol. Mikey Carter, a name that had popped up in the background checks they had run. Mikey was no stranger to trouble. He had a string of misdemeanors attached to his name, mostly petty theft, but nothing serious enough to warrant attention until now. A recent incident featured a confrontation with Emily's friend over a rumor that she was romantically involved with him. Tensions bubbled that night at a local bar, and whispers about Mikey causing drama had been circulated. His alibi for the night of the murder doesn't hold up, Officer Roberts continued, sliding another sheet across the table. Multiple witnesses put him at the bar earlier, but no one recalls him leaving. A rush of adrenaline surged through Sarah. She knew they had to tread carefully. They could make a hasty move and risk losing an opportunity. Sarah decided to bring Mikey in for questioning, not as an antagonist just yet, but as a crucial piece in the growing puzzle. Later that day, the interrogation room felt constricted, the atmosphere thick with unspoken questions. Mikey entered, his demeanor a mix of bravado and underlying anxiety. With tattoos creeping up his neck and a hardened expression, he portrayed an incongruity. A tough exterior that belied a current of intimidation. Sarah leaned in, placing Emily's photographs on the table. "You knew Emily Hart, didn't you?" With a subtle shift in his posture, Mikey feigned ignorance. But as Sarah continued, dropping in hints about the bar altercation and probing for any reaction, his facade began to falter. The thread of a story of confrontation, jealousy, a scuffle became evident. A slight crack in his bravado revealed a vulnerability. Sarah could feel the air change. An opportunity was unfolding, ready to spin the narrative in a new direction. As their exchange deepened, the shadows of Emily's final moments began to take shape, and Sarah was ready to weave the pieces into a story that must be told on, drenched in the complexities of small-town life. The breakthrough felt tangible, but the truth was still lurking just beyond reach, waiting to surface in the chaotic aftermath of actions past and present. A suspect. The interrogation room seemed to close in around them as Detective Sarah Jensen leaned forward, locking eyes with Michael Carter. The tension was palpable, an electric charge humming in the air. Mikey's bravado was faltering, as she felt a momentary thrill of hope that this young man might provide the answers they desperately sought. "What happened that night, Mikey?" Sarah probed, her voice steady. "You were at the bar, but witnesses say you left. What were you up to?" He shifted uncomfortably in his chair, the bravado eroding as uncertainty washed over him like an incoming tide. "I was just hanging out. Things got heated, that's all," Mikey muttered, his voice trailing off. The bravado was thinning, like a well-read book losing its cover. Sarah persisted. "Heated? Is that how you would describe the argument with Emily's friend? You seemed rather interested in Emily. Was it jealousy that fueled that argument?" His eyes darted across the room, avoiding hers. "I didn't mean no harm. I just wanted to talk to her. It's like she didn't want to listen. I would never hurt her," he stammered, though his quivering voice lacked conviction. Catching the tremor in his words, Sarah pressed on. "So you just wanted to talk. Murmur, you were hand in sheeny. Hey. A slight flush crept onto Mikey's cheeks as he clenched his fists. It's not like that. She was playing Dane's man, leading me on, then acting all high and mighty when she left. The underlying bitterness in his words revealed a far more telling side of his character. Sarah noted it carefully, recognizing the psyche of someone who felt scorn, the unpredictable nature of an individual seeking reconciliation, and yet possessing the capacity for anger. It was a potent combination. As the interrogation continued, Sarah expertly guided him further down a rabbit hole, revealing glimpses of violence lurking just beneath the surface. He accused Emily of rejecting him, of playing with his emotions, like someone paints on a canvas, carefully constructing and then shattering. His statements morphed into frustrated rants, blaming Emily for wrongs that simmered deep within rejection. Rail. After what felt like an eternity, Sarah leaned back, finally eliciting Mikey's vulnerabilities, yet knowing she still needed more evidence to solidify her theories. The pieces were falling into place, but without corroboration. They were just shadows on the wall, an echo of the past that mirrored the crime she was attempting to unravel. As Sarah reviewed the recordings later, Mikey's reactions danced in her mind, compelling her to ask, was he merely a jilted rejecter consumed by anger, or was there something darker lurking within him? That deeper connection to Emily that they had yet to explore? One thing was certain: the investigation into Emily Hart's murder had truly begun to scratch the surface, but the heart of darkness remained concealed, waiting for the light of truth to pierce through. The trial. Weeks melted into months, yet the shadows of Emily Hart's murder loomed large over Riverton. The community was scarred, unified by grief but fractured by unease. As the trial approached, the courtroom became a crucible for emotion, sorrow, anger, and an underlying desperation for justice coalescing with every passing moment. The day began under a gray sky, mirroring the apprehension felt by many. The mealies filled the pews, some brows furrowed with concern, while others teetered on the brink of anger. Emily's family, seated front and center, clutched each other, the weight of their loss palpable. They waited for answers they hoped would bring closure, but feared might only deepen their wounds. The prosecution's case leaned heavily on the findings from the investigation, Mikey's troubled history, his known encounters with Emily, and the confrontation on the night she died, formed the cornerstone of their art. The late-night 911 call Emily had placed, recorded and played for the court, echoed through the room, a haunting testament to her last moments filled with terror. As Sarah sat among the prosecution team, memories of the investigation wove through her mind, the discussions with Emily's friends, the urgency of finding Mikey, and the painstaking interviews that revealed pieces of a broken story. Watching Mikey take the stand, the once confident, defiant demeanor had been stripped away, replaced by a fidgety nervousness. The defense attorney sought to reclaim his client's image, painting Mikey as a victim of circumstance, a scapegoat thrust into a tragedy, driven by loose accusation. Testimonies from character witnesses further muddied the waters, emphasizing his troubled youth, while insisting he would never resort to murder. Yet Sarah held firm in her beliefs, knowing the truth lay beneath layers of denial and pain. As the days dragged on, the witness lists grew, revealing even deeper connections within Riverton's tapestry of lies, relationships teetering on betrayal, and the town's collective denial. Spotlighted for all to see, tensions flared as secrets that had long been hidden crept into the light, revealing a community grappling with itself. The climax of the trial approached, and the jury emerged, their expressions masked, giving no indication of which way they had leaned. The silence in the courtroom was suffocating, anticipation hanging thick like a summer storm about to break. Sarah gripped the edge of her seat, heart pounding as the foreman stood. "We, jury, find the defendant Michael Carter guilty of second-degree murder." Gasps echoed around the room, quickly suffocated by the overwhelming wave of relief and sorrow that washed over Emily's family. They embraced tightly, tears pooling as justice unfurled. Yet, the reality of the verdict felt stringently bittersweet. Sarah, though satisfied with the outcome, understood the broader implications. Riverton had been irrevocably changed. As she left the courthouse, she glanced toward the horizon, the gray clouds parting slightly in its own way. The verdict had begun to bring light to a town so deeply mired in darkness. Yet Sarah felt a heaviness in her heart, knowing that even with a conviction, the wounds of loss would take much longer to heal. With echoes of Emily's laughter ringing softly in her mind, Sarah found solace in the understanding that through the pursuit of truth, some unjust horrors had finally begun to receive their reckoning. The aftermath. As the dust settled from the trial, Riverton began to reassemble its fragmented pieces, stitching together the retreat of normalcy amidst lingering shadows. Life resumed at a slower pace, but Emily Hart's absence left an imprint deeper than mere recollection. The verdant hills that had once cradled the town now seemed to loom larger, as if they too mourned the loss. Detective Sarah Jensen found herself visiting the riverbank where Emily's lifeless body was discovered, the whispers of nature resonating with unspoken grief. With each step, she recalled the laughter that had filled the air only a few months prior, now replaced by an eerie stillness. The world had shifted, and in its wake, a lingering ache persisted, mourning for the girl with dreams cut short. Emily's family, now resilient in their sorrow, had rallied to honor her memory. They held vigils in the park, inviting the community to join them in celebrating Emily's life. The bond formed in tragedy created an unexpected unity, allowing voices of healing to weave together. Friends and family members shared stories of Emily's spirit, her creativity, and the joys they had experienced together. In those moments, the town began forging a path toward recovery, one illuminated by the love they all shared for her. Still, the specter of Mikey's conviction loomed, a dark shadow that felt indelible. Doubt seeped into conversations. Speculation swirled about whether justice had truly been served, whispering that perhaps something darker still remained hidden. Sarah found herself often returning to the question of motive. Why had Mikey truly lost control? Had he acted alone? Or were there others in the shadows? The case had been closed, but it left her restless. Months later, Pressford High School held an art exhibition in Emily's name, displaying her work alongside pieces crafted by her classmate. Riverton's beloved gymnasium transformed into an intentional sanctuary, where past pains mingled with present hope. Sarah walked through the gallery, the reflections of color and expression swirling around her. She paused at a mural Emily had painted in abstract representation of the river and hills, vibrant yet haunting, almost as if she were capturing the essence of life and loss intertwined. As she wandered deeper into the rows of art pieces, she felt a hand on her shoulder. It was Claire Hart, Emily's mother. "Thank you for everything you've done," Claire said softly, her eyes reflecting a mix of gratitude and sorrow. "We never fully understand why she was taken from us, but we'll always celebrate who she was." Sarah's heart tightened in her chest. She felt a swell of solidarity in that shared moment of vulnerability. "You've created something beautiful," she replied sincerely, gesturing to the artwork around them. Emily's spirit lives on through this. Together, they continued through the exhibition, speaking of dreams and memories, and for a brief moment, the weight of grief felt light. Yet, as Sarah stepped outside, she noticed the outline of the hills against the horizon, a stark reminder that although one chapter had concluded, the journey of healing for Riverton remained ongoing. While the town sought its footing, Sarah remained committed, standing vigilant in her post at the precinct, forever changed by the loss of Emily and the interwoven fates of those left in the wake. The pursuit of truth would never truly end. It was an ongoing saga, as intricate and profound as life itself. And in that pursuit, in every unanswered question left behind, Sarah resolved to keep the memory of the girl who painted her world alive. At that moment, she understood there would always be shadows, but amidst them, the light of hope would continue beckoning. Reflection. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden hue over Riverton. Yet Sarah Jensen felt the chill that lingered in the air, bittersweet reminder of Emily Hart's tragic tale. Seasonal transitions typically ignited nostalgia, but this autumn felt particularly heavy, each fallen leaf whispering stories of loss. As days turned into weeks since the trial, Sarah often mulled over the complexities of the case. Faces from the courtroom flashed through her mind, the victim's family, burdened with grief, yet resilient in their resolve to honor Emily's memory. Mikey, forever shadowed by choices that had led him down an irreversible path, and the community itself, grappling with the aftermath of darkness seeping into their small-town lives. She reflected on the intricate web of relationships and the secrets people often buried deep. How love could intertwine with jealousy, and how this vibrant community had been shaken to its core. Emily's life, albeit tragically brief, served as a mirror of many. It reminded everyone of the fragility of existence and the need to foster connections before shadows could take hold.